Good morning, Sarah here, aka the Business Fixer. So normally I would be live on a Thursday, but this week has just been a roller coaster of a week. So here I am, and today is, I think it's a really important topic, and I'll probably say that every single time I go live. But this is one of the things where there really does need to be a shift. And this shift it's about going from being an operator to a leader. And I know you guys, it's really hard sometimes to let go and let your team actually do what they are supposed to be doing. So this is a really important topic, and I really hope that you'll get some real insights from this, because ultimately it's absolutely essential to be able to step back from your day-to-day operations in your business. So the first thing I would say is, you didn't start your business just to become its most overworked employee, right? But I can guarantee those of you that are listening that you are likely to be juggling emails, chasing the invoices, putting out the fires, and wondering how on earth you've got to 5 p.m. again and you feel like you've achieved nothing. So what happens? You then end up staying past 5 p.m. and actually getting some of the key stuff you need to get done up until potentially 9-10 o'clock at night, right? If not later. We are constantly working more hours because we are just juggling too much, right? And this is the life of an operator, right? So for many service-based business owners, for the early years demand that you need to be the one that wears the multiple hats. You have to be the one that's hands-on. You know your clients, you know the service that you offer, you know every tiny moving part, right? But what will happen if you stay like that is that your growth stalls, because you're going to be spread too thin. And what's going to happen is you're going to be constantly reactive rather than proactive. And you then start to feel that feeling of, why am I doing this? Is it really worth it? And you're just going to be stuck in the business rather than leading it, which is what you should be. So it's now time to make that shift from operator to leader. And no, it doesn't mean that you suddenly sit in your ivory tower, sipping your flat whites while everyone else is doing the work. It doesn't mean that you stop. It just means that there is a focus shift. It means that you're redefining your role. So your time, energy, and focus are on moving the business forward, not just keeping it afloat. So why is it so hard to let go? Even though you probably know that you should, right? Well, let's get one thing out of the way. If you're struggling to step back, it doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that you care, and it means that you probably care too much, because ultimately our business is our baby. This is something that we have built from the ground up, right? And the idea of someone else messing it up is terrifying, right? This fear is completely normal, right? So it's belief that no one else can do it like I can, which might even be true to a certain extent. But if you stay trapped in that belief, you'll also stay trapped in every task, right? Then there's the pace. When you're running flat out every day, it means there's no time to plan, to think, or to do anything beyond simply survive. So what happens? It means that you are staying stuck. It means that delegating, documenting, training, it all sounds great in theory, but you don't have the time to actually do it. So you're in a catch-22. You need the time and space to lead, but you can't get the time and space unless you start leading. So let's talk about how we make this shift. Now, moving from an operator to a leader isn't about your ego. It's not about being above the day-to-day. It's about realizing that your highest value doesn't lie in how many things you personally deliver. It lies in your ability to guide the business towards something bigger. This business is your vision. It's your creation, right? So you need to be able to be the one that is leading it, to actually create this vision. So as a leader, your focus shifts from doing the work to directing the work, from checking the oil to actually driving the car, from being stuck under the bonnet to steering with purpose. You stop being the engine of the business and start becoming the driver. You're still in control, but you're no longer shoveling the coal just to keep it moving, right? And this is a really important shift. So how do we start letting go without everything falling apart? Now, this is not about a dramatic overnight transformation. No one is asking you to delete your to-do list and hand over the keys to Karen in accounts, right? You've got to start small. So you identify just one task that eats your time but doesn't need your expertise. Document it, delegate it, and resist the urge to take it back the moment it's done slightly differently, right? And one of the things I really, really want you to be thinking about, okay, is actually if you put some of these things out to your team, they may well come back with a better way of doing it. And it makes them feel like they are part of your vision, right? So this is the key, is you're focusing on the outcomes, not the process. As I said, your way isn't the only way. It's just the way that you're used to. So if someone else gets that same or better result, does it matter they didn't do it your way? As long as whatever the way is that works the best is documented and it remains consistent, because this is where your systems and processes really start to form. So ultimately what you're doing is you're building these systems that then support delegation. You're giving your team the tools they need to succeed. And when they inevitably make a mistake, which they will, don't panic. Use it as a learning moment and not a reason to claw back control, right? Nothing in life is perfect. We all make mistakes. You think about how many mistakes as a business owner you have made over the years. I know I've made a ton. It's part of the reason why I'm a business performance coach now, is because I made a ton of mistakes when I ran my law firm and I paid the price for it. But I'm now sharing that knowledge. Am I still making mistakes now? Hell yeah. I do not pretend I know everything about business. Far from it. Am I doing everything that I should be doing? No, I'm not. But I know I'm not, and I'm making those changes. Okay. So don't expect your team to be perfect, because you're certainly not, right? You will feel a bit uncomfortable. That's normal. It's fine. But leadership always involves a bit of discomfort. If you imagine the fact that you're just wearing new shoes, it might pinch at first, but eventually you wonder how you ever managed without them, right? So what changes when you step into leadership? Everything. When you move from out from underneath the bonnet and into the driver's seat, you get back your most valuable asset, headspace. That headspace enables you to actually start planning ahead. It gives you space to be able to spend time with your family. You'll stop reacting and start deciding. You'll be making time for the kind of thinking that actually grows your business. So you're thinking about new offers that you can be putting out. You can be thinking about ways in which you can improve the operations, how you can strengthen your team. The business itself then becomes stronger too. You're no longer the one with all of the answers. Your team starts thinking for themselves. Initiative is a really, really important thing, and it's something that should be actively encouraged in your team. You will be stepping up. Your team will be stepping up. And as a group, you'll be taking real ownership of the vision. And when people feel that ownership, performance improves. So suddenly you're not just paying the salaries, you're building a team that adds real value. And that is where, as they say, what's the quote? Which somebody recently said, it was a very cheesy quote, but teamwork makes the dream work, right? But let's not forget about you. You didn't start this business to be chained to it. This leadership gives you room to breathe, time for family, time to think, time to work on the business instead of in it. And this is where your growth happens, not when you're flat out every day, but when you are focused on the future and your actual vision that you created. Now, last week I talked about remembering what your why is, remembering what that vision is. You can go back to that and actually start putting it into place. But this isn't just about delegation, not quite. Delegation is a part of it, but leadership is about vision, direction, and creating a culture where people perform because they want to, not because they're told to. And that is a real shift in the team. You know, when you have a team that believes in what you are trying to build, who believes in you, this is where things like loyalty then starts to grow. How many businesses now do you see where there is such a high turnaround of staff? And that's because the culture isn't right. It's because the management isn't actually managing, or the leadership isn't leading the team. They don't feel part of something. And that is something that is really, really important, because that's where you will then get that loyalty. You'll be building a team that it's just going to be a game changer. You will be that person who will see what's next, not just what's urgent. And most importantly, is taking responsibility for building something that runs smoothly without your constant involvement, right? They will be taking responsibility for part of things. They will be actually seeing the bigger picture, not just a to-do list in front of them, right? That's the difference between owning a job and owning a business, because you have a team that actually starts to take ownership. Still not sure if it's time, though, to make that shift? Here's a quick gut check that I want you to be thinking about. Do your team constantly come to you with questions they should be able to answer themselves? Do you finish each week feeling like you've worked non-stop but achieved very little that moves the business forward? Do you feel guilty for taking time off because everything might grind to a halt? If any of these sound familiar, then it's time to make the shift. The shift from operator to leader isn't some fluffy concept. It's one of the single most important moves you'll make if you want your business to grow, scale, or simply you stop working those 70 hours a week, right? Now, the one thing that I would say is this isn't just about, like I say, the delegation part. Now, what I want to make sure that you do is when you choose your process in which or the particular task that you don't need to do, I want you to think about a couple of things here. One, I want you to choose the best person within your team that has the skill set who can do this particular task. Second of all, I want you to document how you ideally would like the task to be done. And third of all, I want you to then train that person. But as I said earlier, I want you to be open to their suggestions if they come back to you and say, well, actually, I think this could be done a better way. Listen and be open to them, because this then makes them feel like they are part of the team, they are part of the vision. Then they can then update the process that you've created. But every single task that you ultimately have in your business, or whoever that task is done, there should be what's called an SOP, standard operating procedure, because that way then it's crystal clear as to what that process is. So if the team changes, there's somebody else that can come in that can easily be trained. Everything should not be stored up here as a business owner. You need to get what's up here documented. Okay. Now, the one thing I want you to really think about here is you don't need a boardroom or a 50-person team to lead. Leadership starts the moment you choose to spend your time differently, to work smarter, not just harder. Like I said, start by taking one task off your plate, and just one. Get that delegated, get that process set out, and get that one off your plate. Then you can start on the next one. Then look up. Ask yourself where your business is heading. Ask yourself what role you want to play in it, and ask yourself what needs to change for you to get there. Because you'll then start realizing the list of those particular tasks that will actually, if you get them off your plate, you can then actually lead. Now, if you are ready to stop being the operator and start leading with purpose, I can help you make that transition. I can help you create the proven roadmap and support you to be able to make the shift achievable without it feeling overwhelming. Now, if you want to get out from underneath the bonnet and get back in the driver's seat and lead your business, then the first thing you need to do is book your free strategy session with me, and we can start looking at that roadmap. So if this is something you want to work with, I will make sure that the link is in the comments. You can see it also across your screen where you can get yourself booked in. And this is a time now to really transition from being the operator to leader. It is a completely different approach in your business, and this is what will help you grow and finally scale. So hope you found today's session helpful. Make sure that you follow me. You can follow me on multiple platforms. Make sure that you subscribe. So whether that is on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, where I'm always putting out helpful hints and hopefully things that you can actually implement into your business. And of course, if you want to have a conversation about working with me, then make sure you click the link and get yourself booked in for a free strategy session. Thanks guys for listening, and I will see you again next week.